You've changed cities, jobs, even faces, but the same silence keeps finding you. Until one night, the noise that used to protect you stops working. And suddenly, the quiet asks, "Who are you?" when no one is watching. We chase attention like oxygen, but forget how to breathe alone. We say we want peace, then panic the second it arrives. But what if solitude isn't a punishment? What if it's training? The place where your mind stops echoing others and starts hearing you. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Nowhere is more peaceful than your own soul." That's what this journey is about, how the world's greatest minds turn silence into strength. Here's the promise: 7 timeless lessons from Nietzsche to Frankl that will help you turn the fear of being alone into unshakable strength. So if life feels loud, don't run from the quiet. It might be the only place left that's still honest. 1. Nietzsche, the courage to stand alone. They say it's easy to be yourself until yourself doesn't fit the room anymore. Nietzsche understood that pain. He believed solitude isn't about escaping others. It's about having the strength to walk your own path, even when every voice around you calls you crazy. You've felt that tension too, haven't you? At the office, when everyone agreed on something you know is wrong. At a family dinner, when silence feels safer than honesty. Or in love, when you pretend to be smaller so someone else can feel big. Nietzsche called this the path of greatness, not the loud kind that gets applause, but the quiet kind that requires exile. He once wrote that the individual has always had to struggle to keep from being overwhelmed by the tribe. In modern words, fitting in is easy, staying true is expensive. But here's the hard truth. The moment you stop chasing approval, people start respecting you in ways they never did when you begged for it. Wow. Because solitude filters out the noise that keeps you forgetful of your own power. I remember walking out of a business deal once. Big money, good press, but wrong energy. Everyone said I was crazy. 6 months later, the project collapsed. But the peace I felt that night, priceless. That was Nietzsche's solitude, standing in the storm without needing anyone to hold your umbrella. He believed every man must build his mountain. The climb is lonely, the air is thin, but that's where clarity lives. You can't see your reflection in moving water. You see it when it's still. Here's where Stoicism quietly agrees with him. Epictetus said, "If you wish to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." Both men were pointing to the same truth. You can't become who you're meant to be if you keep asking permission from who you used to be. So how do you live this without turning cold? By choosing moments of solitude on purpose. 10 minutes before the world wakes up. A walk after dinner with no headphones. Saying, "Let me think about it," when everyone wants an instant yes. These are not escapes, they're maintenance checks for your soul. Try this small practice. When something feels wrong but everyone claps, pause. Don't react. Just ask, would I still do this if nobody ever found out? If the answer is no, you just found the line between the crowd's approval and your own integrity. And that line, that invisible boundary, is your freedom. It's where greatness starts to grow, quietly, away from applause. Nietzsche didn't want followers. He wanted thinkers who could survive their own silence. Maybe that's what being alive really means. Not being liked by everyone, but being at peace with the one person you can't escape, yourself. So when life pressures you to blend in, remember this. Every masterpiece was once alone on a blank canvas. Solitude doesn't shrink you, it sculpts you. 2. Kierkegaard, the strength to be different. Most people don't fear being alone. They fear being different. Kierkegaard saw that long before social media made comparison a religion. He said truth is never born in a crowd. It begins inside a single, trembling mind. To him, solitude wasn't separation. It was the only place where you could hear your own soul speak before the world told it what to say. You know that moment when you start to grow, but the people around you don't? You talk less, they call you distant. You think deeper, they call you strange. You want peace, they call you selfish. But you're not changing for attention. You're changing for alignment. Kierkegaard called this becoming a true self. He believed that only when you stand apart from the crowd can you meet the part of you that was waiting to be real. The crowd, he said, is not evil. It's just comfortable, and comfort never creates character. I once had a close friend who used to laugh at every deep topic. "Why do you always take life so seriously?" he'd say. For years, I'd shrink my thoughts to fit the tone of the room. Then one day I stopped explaining, and suddenly our silence said everything. We were walking different roads. That's the cost of authenticity. Not drama, just quiet distance. Kierkegaard once wrote, "The crowd is untruth." In plain words, when too many people agree too quickly, someone stopped thinking. Truth is rarely popular at first. It matures in solitude, then echoes through time. And the irony, once you start honoring your individuality, the right people show up. The ones who understand your silence better than others understood your words. Here's where Stoicism meets Kierkegaard's courage. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." Both men spoke of the same power. Stop debating your worth in rooms that don't deserve your presence. Go live it quietly, and let your peace prove your point. In today's world, solitude doesn't always look poetic. Sometimes it's just saying no to gossip at lunch. Sometimes it's spending a Friday night learning, not escaping. Sometimes it's choosing to stay single until your soul feels whole, not half. That's not loneliness. That's rebuilding the foundation of self-respect. Here's a small reflection to practice. Next time you feel out of place, don't rush to belong. Pause and ask, am I uncomfortable because I'm wrong or because I've finally stopped pretending? That question alone can separate growth from guilt. If Nietzsche taught us to stand alone, Kierkegaard teaches us to remain alone long enough to find truth inside it. Not the empty silence of isolation, but the full silence of clarity. Because the moment you stop fighting to fit in, you finally start to feel at home. Even when no one else understands the language you're speaking yet. And that, my friend, is the quiet strength of difference. It's not rebellion, it's refinement. The world doesn't need another copy. It needs one honest original. Let that be you. 3. Thoreau, The Power of Simplicity. If you're still here, you have already walked a third of the path. The next chapters, Thoreau and Frankl, will show you how silence itself can become a teacher, even in your hardest moments. We spend half our lives trying to make it, and the other half cleaning up the mess that came with it. Thoreau understood that long before burnout became a badge of honor. He didn't move to the woods because he hated people. He moved because he was tired of mistaking busyness for meaning. He wrote from a cabin no bigger than a studio apartment. No noise, no crowd, no endless meetings, just nature, thought, and the sound of his own heartbeat. He wanted, as he said, to live deliberately. We chase the same thing today, but in louder ways. A new phone, another trip, a bigger paycheck, all in the name of living. Yet the more we add, the less we feel. Simplicity isn't about having less, it's about needing less to feel complete. Arianna Huffington, founder of the Huffington Post, was once one of the most powerful women in media. Then years of nonstop work caught up with her. She collapsed from exhaustion in her own office. That moment changed everything. She rebuilt her life around rest and balance, creating Thrive Global to teach others the same. Her success didn't fade, it evolved from achievement to awareness. Thoreau believed that true wealth isn't measured in what you collect, but in how little you need to stay peaceful. He said, "A man is rich in proportion to the number of things he can afford to let alone." That line sounds poetic, but it's brutally practical. Because simplicity isn't cheap, it costs ego, not money. Modern life tricks us into confusing clutter with progress. But the truth is, every yes steals time from something sacred. Every unnecessary noise drowns out a whisper that could have guided you home. Stoicism echoes Thoreau here. Epictetus said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." Different century, same medicine. Both men remind us, happiness doesn't arrive when you own more. It arrives when you finally stop negotiating your peace for things that don't matter. Simplicity is not running away from life. It's creating a life light enough to carry anywhere. It's choosing to buy time instead of trophies, to trade more for enough, to leave space for joy to find a seat. Try this small move today. Look around your space. Pick one item, one commitment, or one person that constantly drains you, and release it kindly. Then use that freed energy for something that actually feeds you. Read a page, call a friend, breathe in sunlight without photographing it. Thoreau didn't reject the world. He just wanted to meet it without filters. He wanted to taste water without sugar, love without approval, and work without pretending. Maybe that's what maturity really is. When your idea of luxury changes from more things to less noise. Because the good life isn't hiding in a forest, it's hidden in your attention. And when you give that attention back to what truly matters, the ordinary becomes sacred again. So if you ever feel lost in the crowd of your own life, remember this: peace doesn't always look exciting. Sometimes it looks like a quiet room, a warm meal, and the ability to say, "This is enough." 4. Viktor Frankl, finding meaning in suffering. Some people break when life falls apart. Others rebuild from the pieces. Viktor Frankl was one of those few. An Austrian psychiatrist, he survived years in Nazi concentration camps, where his family died and every comfort vanished. Yet, in that unthinkable darkness, he discovered something the world still struggles to understand. Even when you lose control of everything, you still control your attitude. Frankl said, "When we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves." That wasn't philosophy. That was survival. He noticed that prisoners who found meaning, even in pain, somehow lived longer than those who didn't. Some people dreamed of revenge. Others imagined a future worth returning to, a child's voice, a book unwritten, a promise unfinished. And that single spark of purpose became oxygen. Pain without meaning crushes you. Pain with meaning transforms you. Most of us won't face war camps, but we all face invisible prisons. A failing marriage, a job that drains the soul, a grief that won't let go. And in those moments, the same question remains: what will I do with this pain? I once met a man who lost everything in a financial collapse. He said the silence after the fall was unbearable until he used it. He started volunteering at a children's hospital, helping others find hope through laughter. "I thought I'd lost my purpose," he told me, "but maybe it was just waiting for a quieter room." That's Frankl's lesson. Your pain can either define you or refine you. It depends on the meaning you give it. Stoicism agrees. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Different continent, same truth. Suffering doesn't ask for permission, but meaning always gives you a choice. And here's the quiet twist. Healing doesn't begin when the pain ends. It begins when you stop asking, "Why me?" and start asking, "What now?" Because the moment you give your suffering a purpose, it stops being your enemy and starts being your teacher. Frankl called this tragic optimism, the belief that even in tragedy, life still whispers possibilities, that every scar can point to strength, every ending can birth understanding, and every silence can grow wisdom if you dare to listen. Try this simple reflection. Tonight, before sleep, think of one hardship you've been carrying. Ask yourself, if this pain had a bomb, what would it be teaching me? Don't force the answer, just listen. Meaning has a quiet voice, but once you hear it, you can't unhear it. Frankl survived the worst of humanity, yet left the world a message of faith, not in religion, but in resilience. He proved that freedom doesn't live outside the fences. It lives inside the way you choose to see them. So when life tests you, when love ends, when plans collapse, when nothing seems fair, remember, meaning is your last freedom. No one can steal it. And from that meaning, a new life can grow. Not perfect, but purposeful. Because sometimes the deepest peace isn't found in avoiding suffering, but in understanding why your soul chose to walk through it. So far, every philosopher has pointed to one truth. Peace doesn't begin when life gets easier. It begins when you do. The next few lessons go even deeper into what that peace looks like when no one's watching. 5. Pascal, the fear of being alone with yourself. Centuries before phones, Blaise Pascal already saw our problem. He wrote, "All of humanity's troubles stem from man's inability to sit quietly in a room alone. If he lived today, he wouldn't even need to prove it. Just look around. We scroll through noise like it's oxygen. We fill every silence with music, messages, or meaningless updates. We don't rest, we reload." Pascal's point wasn't to shame us, it was to warn us. He believed that most people don't actually fear loneliness. They fear the truth that appears when the distractions disappear. Think about it. When was the last time you sat quietly without touching your phone? Within minutes, the mind starts its parade. Unfinished work, old mistakes, what-ifs, regrets, random headlines. The noise outside stops, and the noise inside finally has space to speak. That's the moment most people escape from, the meeting with themselves. But here's the paradox. You can't heal what you constantly drown out. Every time you run from silence, you run from the very answers you're searching for. A friend once joked, "I can't meditate, my brain won't shut up." I told him, "That's not failure. That's the first conversation you've had with yourself in years." He laughed, but the next week he texted, "I think I finally heard what my mind's been trying to tell me." Pascal would have smiled at that. He believes silence isn't empty, it's loaded with revelation. It's the mirror that doesn't flatter, the therapist that charges nothing. Modern life has turned avoidance into a lifestyle. We eat with screens, walk with earbuds, even shower with playlists. We treat silence like an awkward guest instead of an old friend. But there's power in being unreachable for a while, because the moment you stop answering the world, your soul starts answering you. Stoicism understood this too. Seneca wrote, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." That's not poetry, it's direction. You don't need a mountain cabin. You need moments of stillness where you can check if the person living your life is still actually you. Try this tonight. Turn off everything for 10 minutes. Yes, everything. Sit in the dark, no music, no screen, just breath and thoughts. Let the restlessness come. Don't fight it. That discomfort you feel, that's your inner world stretching after years of neglect. At first, silence feels like withdrawal. Then it becomes medicine. And finally, it turns into wisdom. Pascal wasn't antisocial. He was pro-self-awareness. He knew that the man who can sit quietly for an hour is the one who won't collapse in chaos. Because quiet time is not wasted time, it's training for every storm that will come. So if solitude makes you uneasy, good. It means the real conversation is about to start. Stay a little longer. Listen to the voice underneath the noise, the one that's been patient all these years. Because when you finally make peace with being alone, you stop fearing life's emptiness. You fill it with presence. Only two voices left, Jung and Peterson. Stay with me, because they'll give you the map to turn solitude into your hidden weapon. 6. Carl Jung, The Shadow Within. Every man believes he knows himself until the mirror speaks back. Carl Jung called that unseen reflection the shadow. The part of us we hide, deny, or exile, yet secretly obey. It's the envy disguised as advice, the anger covered by virtue, the pride pretending to be humility, and no matter how far you run, it follows quietly behind your light. Jung said, knowing your own darkness is the best method for dealing with the darkness of other people. He wasn't glorifying pain. He was describing wholeness, because pretending to be pure doesn't make you good. It only makes you blind. Think of the Lion King. Simba runs from the kingdom that hurt him, trying to forget the roar that still lives inside. But the more he hides, the stronger Scar, his inner fear, grows. When he finally looks into the water and hears his father's voice whisper, "Remember who you are," that isn't nostalgia. It's awakening. He stops running from his shadow and returns home through it. That's Jung's lesson made visible. You can't reclaim your crown without first meeting the part of you that dropped it. Jung believed integration, not perfection, is the goal. You don't conquer the shadows by fighting it. You invite it to speak. You sit with your jealousy until it tells you what you value. You face your anger until it shows you where you've been silent too long. The shadow is never your enemy. It's the teacher waiting in disguise. In modern life, our shadows wear suits and smiles. The overachiever who can't rest. The kind one who secretly resents everyone. The confident one terrified of being ordinary. Every persona hides an unspoken need to be accepted, even in imperfection. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. And to be one, you must include all that you are, not just the polished version." The Stoics never said eliminate emotion. They said understand it so it no longer owns you. Jung compared the shadow to mythic figures, Faust selling his soul for knowledge, or Icarus flying too close to the sun. In each, there's not evil, but unintegrated desire, the wish to expand without restraint, to shine without reflection. Without shadow, your light burns you. Try this quiet exercise. When someone triggers you, don't defend, don't judge. Ask, what part of me feels exposed right now? You might discover that what annoys you in others lives secretly inside you. That realization doesn't shame you, it frees you. Because the man who befriends his shadow becomes unshakable. He stops reacting, starts responding. He stops performing goodness, starts practicing truth. Jung called this process individuation, the journey toward becoming whole. It's not about perfection, it's about honesty. You can't walk into light by rejecting your night. So don't fear what you find inside. Meet it, name it, let it breathe. Because only when you accept your own shadow can you stand in someone else's without losing your light. 7. Jordan Peterson, Solitude is Strength. In a world that never stops talking, silence has become rebellion. Everyone has an opinion. Few have a voice that's truly their own. Jordan Peterson calls solitude the training ground for that voice, the place where you stop echoing the world and start hearing your soul again. He said, if you don't know where you are, you could be anywhere. That line isn't about geography, It's about awareness, because when you lose touch with yourself, it doesn't matter how successful you look. You're still lost. Solitude for Peterson isn't isolation, it's recalibration. It's where strength is built when the noise dies down, where truth whispers after the applause fades, and where resilience grows roots deep enough to hold you steady when life starts shaking again. Look around. The world celebrates constant exposure. People measure their worth in attention spans. You post to feel seen, you perform to feel valid, and you wonder why peace feels like something you need to schedule. But solitude, true solitude, isn't a punishment. It's the gym where your mind lifts the weight of truth without an audience. The Stoics understood this centuries before social media existed. Seneca said, "He who is brave is free." Freedom doesn't mean escape. It means being so centered that nothing outside can control what happens inside. And you can't build that strength in a crowd. You build it in the quiet moments where no one is watching. When you write, reflect, breathe, or simply sit with your own thoughts until they stop shouting. Peterson often tells his students, stand up straight with your shoulders back. It sounds simple, but it's a declaration. It means stop folding yourself to fit into smaller spaces. It means carry your chaos with dignity, because posture isn't just physical, it's psychological. It's the shape of your spirit when no one's clapping. In solitude, you learn that maturity isn't about controlling the world. It's about controlling your response to it. It's the difference between reacting from fear and acting from purpose, between being loud to prove power and being calm to reveal it. Think of the alchemist. Santiago crosses deserts chasing treasure, only to find it buried where he began, inside his own home. That's what solitude does. It brings you back to where you truly belong. Peterson also warns, when you avoid being alone, you become addicted to distraction. And the tragedy of distraction is that it robs you of depth, the one thing that gives life meaning. He says, without solitude, you can't think. Without thought, you can't speak truth. Without truth, you can't live free. So take solitude seriously, not as escape, but as preparation. It's the space where character is built, boundaries are born, and your sense of direction returns. Try this. Once a week, spend 1 hour with no agenda, no phone, no tasks, no talking, just presence. Ask yourself 3 questions. What am I avoiding? What am I proud of? What still feels unfinished inside me? Write down what comes up. That's not journaling, that's mapping your soul. Because solitude isn't lonely when it has purpose. It's the forge where chaos becomes order, where grief becomes gratitude, where silence becomes strength. Peterson, Jung, Frankl, they all point to the same truth. You don't find yourself through noise, applause, or approval. You find yourself when everything else fades and you're still standing. And that's the beauty of being alone. It's not an ending, it's the beginning of clarity. The moment you stop chasing connection and start embodying it, the point where peace stops being something you seek and becomes something you carry. So if the world feels too loud, if you've been running too long trying to prove you belong, pause. Not to quit, but to return. Because in the stillness, you don't disappear. You reappear as the man or woman you were always meant to be. Every great journey ends where it began, not with applause, but with awareness. You began this video asking how to be alone. But solitude was never your enemy. It was the mirror waiting for you to finally look. Nietzsche taught you to stand alone. Kierkegaard taught you to stay true when no one understands. Thoreau showed you that peace doesn't come from more. It comes from enough. Frankl proved that even pain can serve a purpose. Pascal warned that silence is where your truth hides. Jung revealed that your shadow isn't a curse, it's the key. And Peterson reminded you that solitude isn't weakness, it's training for strength. Together, they've all been saying the same thing. The world won't heal you, but the moment you stop running from yourself, you will. You were never meant to disappear into noise. You were meant to rise quietly, to build a peace so unshakable that even chaos feels small beside it. So walk alone, not as the one left behind, but as the one who finally stepped ahead. Carry your silence like armor. Carry your scars like proof. Carry your stillness like a weapon no one sees coming. Because when you master the art of being alone, you stop begging the world to complete you. You become the world, centered, steady, untouchable. If this journey helped you find even a moment of peace, hit like button, not for numbers, but as a quiet confirmation that you've returned to yourself. And in the comments, tell me, which philosopher's lesson will you live by first? Share this with someone who's been mistaking loneliness for weakness. They might need this silence as much as you did. And maybe that's what freedom really is. Not escaping the world, but standing in it, untamed, unbroken, and utterly at peace.